Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. We're so glad you're joining us again as we explore another fascinating topic in digestive health.
Absolutely. And today we're going to take a closer look at a condition called EPI.
EPI.
Yeah, that's exocrine pancreatic insufficiency.
Okay, now that sounds a bit um, complicated.
It might sound intimidating, but trust me, by the end of this deep dive, you'll have a much better understanding of, what EPI is and how it affects digestion.
Right, I'm all ears. Now, before we dive too deep, can we talk a little bit about the pancreas?
Yeah.
Just to kind of set the stage.
Oh, absolutely. The pancreas is, well, it's a pretty amazing organ. It's like a little workhorse tucked away in your abdomen, and it plays a vital role in digestion.
So, remind me, what exactly does the pancreas do?
Well, it has like two main jobs. The first one most people know about, it produces insulin, which helps regulate blood sugar.
Right, right. Insulin. So, what's the other job?
The other one is its exocrine function, and that's what we're focusing on today with EPI.
Exocrine function. Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for me.
So basically, the exocrine function is all about producing digestive enzymes. These enzymes are like tiny little Pac-Men. They break down the food you eat into smaller pieces that your body can actually absorb and use.
Ah, okay. So it's kind of like our food is useless until those enzymes do their thing, right?
Well, I wouldn't say useless exactly, but yeah, our bodies can't absorb those big chunks of food as is. They need to be broken down first.
That makes sense. So walk me through how this whole digestive process actually works.
All right, so picture this. You take a bite of, let's say, a delicious cheeseburger.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
So you chew it up, right, breaking it down into smaller bits. Then it travels down your esophagus into your stomach.
Right.
Your stomach is like a mixing chamber. It churns everything up and mixes it with acid, breaking it down even further.
Okay. Sounds a bit rough in there.
It is. But all that churning and mixing is creating a kind of soupy mixture called chyme.
Oh.
Yeah, chyme. Not the most glamorous term I know. But this time then moves into your small intestine.
Small intestine. Got it.
And in the small intestine, it meets up with bile from your liver, and more importantly for our discussion, digestive enzymes from your pancreas.
Ah, there's our pancreas again.
Exactly. So these pancreatic enzymes, like lipase, protease, and amylase, get to work breaking down the fats, proteins, and carbohydrates in that time.
Okay, so each enzyme has a specific target.
You got it. Lipase tackles those fats, protease goes after proteins, and amylase breaks down the carbs.
And if someone has EPI, it's like those enzymes aren't showing up for work.
Exactly. With EPI, the pancreas isn't producing enough of these crucial enzymes, which means those fats, proteins, and carbs aren't getting broken down properly.
And that's when the trouble starts,
Yeah.
right? What happens when those nutrients don't get broken down?
Well, when food isn't properly digested, it can lead to a whole bunch of uncomfortable symptoms. And because your body isn't absorbing those essential nutrients, you can end up with nutritional deficiencies.
Oh, wow. That doesn't sound good at all. So, what are some of the red flags someone should look out for if they think they might have EPI? What symptoms should make them say, hey, I need to see a doctor about this?
Hmm. One of the most noticeable signs is something called steatorrhea.
What now?
Steatorrhea. It's a fancy medical term for oily, smelly stools. Basically, because the fat isn't being broken down, it ends up in your stool, making it greasy and, well, pretty foul smelling.
Yikes. Yeah, I could see how that would be a sign that something's not right.
Definitely. And along with that, you might experience bloating, gas, and maybe even diarrhea.
So those are all kind of digestive related symptoms. Are there any other signs that might point to EPI?
Yeah, absolutely. Unintentional weight loss is another big one. If you're eating a normal amount but the pounds are still dropping, it could be a sign that your body's not absorbing nutrients like it should.
Wow. So it's not just about discomfort, it's about your body not getting what it needs.
Exactly. And because of those nutritional deficiencies, you might also experience fatigue and just general weakness.
Okay, so those are some pretty clear warning signs. I know it can be embarrassing to talk about these kinds of symptoms, but it's so important to get help if you're experiencing any of this, right?
You're absolutely right. The sooner you get diagnosed, the sooner you can start managing EPI and feeling better.
Okay, so let's say someone is brave enough to talk to their doctor about these symptoms. How do doctors actually go about diagnosing EPI? What are they looking for?
Well, a lot of these symptoms can be similar to other digestive issues, so it's important to get a proper evaluation. There are blood tests and imaging scans that can be helpful, but the gold standard for diagnosing EPI is a test called the fecal elastase test.
Okay. God, I love that name, right? But seriously, what is that?
I know, not the most glamorous name, but it's actually a pretty straightforward test. It involves analyzing, well, let's just say the evidence of digestion to see how well your pancreas is producing those digestive enzymes.
They're looking for, those enzymes in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if the levels are low, it's a pretty strong indication of EPI.
So while it might not be the most pleasant test, it's pretty crucial for getting an accurate diagnosis.
Absolutely. It helps us get to the bottom of what's going on.
Okay, so let's say someone gets diagnosed with EPI. What are their options? Is there a way to get those missing enzymes back?
Well, there isn't a cure for EPI, but it is definitely manageable. The primary treatment is something called PERT, which stands for Pancreatic Enzyme Replacement Therapy.
Okay, so PERT is kind of like giving your body a little boost with digestion.
You got it. PERT basically replaces those missing digestive enzymes that your pancreas isn't producing.
Okay, so how does that actually work?
You take these PERT medications orally, by mouth, with each meal and snack. They essentially act as those missing enzymes, breaking down the food so your body can absorb all those good nutrients.
Sounds simple enough. But where do these replacement enzymes actually come from?
Believe it or not, they're derived from pigs.
Wait, really? Pigs?
Yep. Pigs contain pancrelipase, which is a mixture of those key digestive enzymes we talked about, lipase, protease, and amylase.
Wow, that's fascinating. So what about people who can't eat pork for religious reasons?
Yeah.
Are there other options for them?
That's a really good question. And yes, there are definitely exemptions available for those individuals, so no one has to compromise their beliefs to get the treatment they need.
That's great to hear. Okay, so medication is obviously a key part of managing EPI, but I'm also curious about the role of diet. Are there certain foods that can help, or foods that people should avoid? Because with EPI, it's not just about eating healthy in general, right? It's about figuring out what works for your body.
You're absolutely right. Diet plays a huge role in managing EPI. And you're right, it's not just about general healthy eating, it's about understanding how different foods affect your symptoms and adjusting your diet accordingly.
So no magic cure-all food, but more about being mindful of what you eat.
Exactly. And one of the most important things to be mindful of is fat.
Oh, fat. I was just thinking about that. You'd think someone with trouble digesting fats would need to avoid them completely.
That's actually a common misconception. While it's important to choose healthy fats, people with EPI actually need to make sure they're getting enough fat in their diet.
Okay, wait. Now that's a bit counterintuitive. Why would someone with trouble digesting fat need to eat more of it?
It's all about balance, right? Fats are actually crucial for your body to absorb certain vitamins, those fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K.
Ah, so it's about choosing the right kinds of fats and making sure you're getting enough of them.
Exactly. Think about healthy fats like those found in avocados, nuts, olive oil, and fatty fish like salmon.
Okay, so good fats are a must. What about other dietary tips? What should people with EPI try to limit or avoid?
Fiber is another one to be mindful of. While fiber is generally great for digestion, for someone with EPI, too much fiber can actually interfere with those digestive enzymes we talked about.
Gotcha. So less fiber. Anything else?
Another thing to avoid is large, heavy meals. They can be really tough on the digestive system when you have EPI. It's better to eat smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day.
Okay, so smaller meals spread out throughout the day. Got it.
And of course, alcohol is something to avoid as well. It can actually further damage the pancreas, which is obviously not what you want if you're already dealing with EPI.
Okay, so we've got less fiber, smaller meals, and limiting alcohol intake. Any other practical tips to keep in mind?
Well, one of the best things you can do is keep a food diary and really pay attention to how different foods make you feel. Everyone's different, and what triggers symptoms for one person might be totally fine for someone else.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's all about getting to know your own body and how it reacts to different foods.
Exactly. And another simple but important tip, stay hydrated. But here's the thing. Try to limit fluids during meals and drink more between them.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
It can actually help with absorption.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about how much you drink, but also when you drink it.
Exactly. It's all about timing.
Right, right. It's all about those little details.
Yeah, it really is. And speaking of details, there's another one that's really important for people with EPI, especially when it comes to those pure medications we talked about.
Oh, right. Those enzyme replacements. What about them?
Always, always, always take them at the very beginning of each meal.
Okay, so before you even take that first bite.
Exactly. You want those enzymes to be ready and waiting when the food hits your stomach. Give them a head start on the digestive process.
Makes sense. Now, I know this might be a little awkward to talk about, but I think it's something a lot of people with digestive issues worry about. What about, bathroom
Yeah.
situations, especially when you're away from home?
Oh, absolutely. That's a really valid concern, and it's definitely something to think about when you're managing EPI.
Yeah, I mean, those symptoms we talked about, steatorrhea, diarrhea,
Yeah,
those can be pretty unpredictable, right?
exactly. So, my advice, always know where the restrooms are.
Good advice.
Mm.
And I think it's okay to be a little proactive about it.
Mhm.
Scope out the situation when you arrive somewhere new.
Absolutely. And you know what's really helpful these days? There are actually apps you can download on your phone that help you find nearby restrooms.
Wow, really? That's amazing. Technology to the rescue.
Right. It sounds kind of silly, but trust me, those apps can be lifesavers in a pinch.
I bet. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From understanding how digestion works to all the ins and outs of EPI, the causes, the symptoms, the treatments.
And it's not just about enzymes either. It's about the whole process from chewing your food properly to making sure you're getting enough fiber and fluids and all those essential nutrients.
Well, I think this deep dive has been a great starting point for anyone who wants to, explore this fascinating world of digestion and gut health.
I agree. We've learned so much about EPI and, even how it relates to our overall gut health. It's all connected.
It really is. And the Center for Digestive Health and Nutrition has been such an amazing resource for this deep dive. We encourage everyone to check out their website at www.griahealth.com and follow them on Instagram at the Digestive Tract for more information and resources.
Until next time, everyone, stay curious, stay informed, and keep diving deep into the wonders of your amazing body.
And don't forget to take good care of your gut. It does so much for you. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.